Either Or is a foundational philosophical work by Søren Kierkegaard, presented as a collection of papers and essays from two fictional characters, the aesthetic young man A and the ethical judge B. The book explores the tension between two modes of life, the aesthetic, focused on personal pleasure, creativity, and avoidance of commitment, and the ethical, centered on responsibility, moral duty, and authentic selfhood. The aesthetic life, as portrayed by A, is rich in artistic reflection, irony, and a pursuit of beauty. He warns, however, that this lifestyle eventually leads to despair because it lacks lasting meaning and depth. A central example is his analysis of Mozart's Don Giovanni, which he views as the highest expression of aesthetic genius, yet ultimately detached from real human responsibility. In contrast, B, the ethical judge, responds with a defense of the ethical life. He argues that true fulfillment comes through commitment, particularly in marriage, work, and personal development. Rather than escaping from reality, the ethical person embraces it, taking on the burden of self-formation and accountability to others. Kierkegaard uses this dialectic structure not to prescribe one choice over the other in a didactic way, but to provoke the reader into making an existential decision. The aesthetic and ethical lives are not merely lifestyle options, but reflect deeper philosophical and spiritual commitments, leading ultimately to the religious life, a third implicit stage beyond the scope of either or. The book culminates in the realization that life demands a choice, not between arbitrary pleasures or duties, but between despair and meaning. The either-or is existential, to live inauthentically through distraction and avoidance, or to live authentically through commitment and self-transcendence. Kierkegaard thus sets the stage for his broader project on faith and the individual's relationship with God. Life lessons from either-or. Avoiding commitment leads to existential despair. Living solely for pleasure and aesthetics may seem fulfilling, but it ultimately leaves one empty and fragmented. Authenticity requires responsibility. True selfhood emerges not by escaping responsibility, but by embracing it through ethical choices and commitments. Life is not theoretical, it demands action. Kierkegaard emphasizes that philosophical insight must lead to lived experience and existential decision. You cannot avoid choosing. Even the refusal to choose between paths is itself a choice, and often one that leads to self-deception and despair. True meaning lies beyond aesthetics and ethics. While the ethical life is a higher stage than the aesthetic, ultimate fulfillment may lie in the religious dimension, a leap of faith beyond rational ethics.